my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things. Gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking fight me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent, and it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots, if I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking fight me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking fight me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good evening. Hi, guys. I know it's late. I know it's late. Cracking asses. We were first tonight, followed by a close, close second. Turtle Dove, Turtle Dove. Yeah, Indica, Charlie Girl. How's everybody tonight? Monica M. Glad you could catch us on your day off. All right, all right. You know, somebody who never even comes on panel wanted to live. Isn't that right, Indica? Isn't that right, Indica? Hey, Chris, how are you? But yeah, I thought, well, we could go live, but what are we going to talk about? You know, we always talk about, well, lately we've been talking a lot about the YouTube drama, you know, and I thought, well, let's take it back, you know, let's do a little, you know, adoption talk. Oh, no, cracking asses, you're not going to, no. Look, my story was a success, okay? Of course, adoption is hard on everybody. It's also can be a great thing, a beautiful thing. Um, as someone who's been adopted and somebody who has adopted, I see it from both sides. So, and that is kind of challenging, I think, because as a mom, there's certain ways that I feel about things as a mother, but then as that child who was adopted, remembering things, I go, whoa, you know, you have to really, you know, keep an open mind and not be that closed mind parent where, you know, you did this to this baby, I'm going to get you, you know. And you do have to have that understanding and keep it. Oh, cracking ass, she adopted 5 and fostered many. Yeah. We adopted 6 and stopped. I was done with six, and two of my kiddos that we adopted had said, "Mom." So, interestingly enough, at separate times, they go, "Why did you stop?" Well, and I just looked at them. I said, "Don't you think 12 kids is enough?" And they go, "Yeah, fair enough." You know, um, but I thought that was interesting that two of my kiddos have asked me that. Why aren't you doing it now? Oh my gosh, I didn't have the heart to look at him and tell him, y'all are trying my last nerve, and I didn't have one to begin with. I'm struggling just trying to take care of y'all, like making sure your needs are met. It's a challenge. And in the midst of that, you have to make sure that you try your damnedest to stay on top of all of your children, not just the ones that you just brought in, and then you have to maintain your marriage because it does affect your marriage. It is hard on that. Um, it's a good thing too. I'm not trying to make it sound negative or anything, but it does have there's trying times, especially when you have children that you don't know the complete background or history on, and you know you find out, oh, there's some mental illness in the families. There's certain situations, and then there's always just the simplest thing, just one, not even simple, but the one thing of just being taken away from your birth family. That is so much trauma that triggers just from that one action. Nothing else included, just that one can really mess somebody up. Like that's it's a hard thing for a child to go through. And oh, four girls and one boy. Oh my goodness, and with special needs too. Yeah. Um, for me, my mom could not have children. She just was back in Vietnam time, and it was well, then and after the Vietnam War. My dad was in the Navy, and there was a lot of there's medical issues that probably if she had gone to the doctor, um, but by the time she got to a good good OBGYN, I think there was just too much damage, and she just couldn't have children because military care back then was really not that great. She went in with problems, and it was that old thing of you know your husband's deployed, isn't he? Oh, well, you're just depressed, and so they chopped everything up to that. And I do feel like if she'd had different medical care, she may have been able to conceive a child and carry him. Because she did have one miscarriage, and then ended up right after my brother was placed, because I was adopted, and then 1 year later my brother came, and right after that she had to have her hysterectomy, and the adoption wasn't final with him yet. So, but there's Turtle Dove, you can foster at any age. Any age can do it. And I have a friend who fostered, and she's in her 70s now. You would never know. Her and her husband are both extremely active. They foster. They've adopted. Those children are in high school now, the younger ones, or middle school and high school. And they're still going. They go for it. For me personally, no, I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. We have had to kind of turn down not really a placement, it was a family placement. I did have to say no. And it really broke my heart because I'm always one who's, keep the children in the family, keep the children in the family. I'm huge on that, if at all possible. Where I'm also very, very strong about maintaining contact with the birth family if at all possible. And that's also another that's another whole story. That's a hard one too because there's a lot of things that go into play in that. And again, that's where the whole mom side compared to the one who was adopted side comes in handy. I think um, having that experience myself, I think does make a little bit of a difference. Hey, Texas Tornado and Dream, Manda, great premiere today. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. If anybody didn't see it, Manda had a premiere for Monkey for his birthday today. It was beautiful. Oh, you had your one. Well, you were blessed to have that one, huh? That's awesome that you had that one though. Um, but like I said, I know my mom couldn't have children. Hey, Eric, how are you? And so that led them to foster and adoption. And my mom did have a few foster placements before I came along, and I know it was on my fourth birthday. On my fourth birthday is when it was the day before my birthday when I was removed. Um, and now, mind you, there's five of us, and I was the middle child. And yeah, cracking asses. I love kids too, as long as they're not mine. I love mine, but I don't want any more. I love my grandbabies, and I'm good with that. I'm completely done with. I don't. 5 years ago, if you had asked me, "Will you take this baby?" Heck yeah, give me that baby. Um, Now I'm completely at peace with how many children I have. I don't need any more. I'm good. I love them, and they can come and visit. That's good, but I don't need any more. So, but I know the day before my birthday is when I was removed, and there was a lot of there's things that my sister Fancy remembers. Um, and of course, you have to remember this is back in late '70s, and things were a lot different when it came to CPS and all that stuff. Um, Back then, they would remove just one child. Now, absolutely not. If they have to remove one, they'll remove them all because they know now if there's abuse going on with one, it's going on with all of them. And of course, my opinion on that, if you have ever heard me talk about it before, it's if there's abuse going on with one, even if you are not physically abusing the other children like you are that one, or mentally abusing them, well, to me, it is a form of abuse. When your siblings are witnessing one of their siblings getting abused, that's traumatic. That's abuse. So either way, that's just my thoughts and feelings on that. Um, you're torturing your children, even if you're not, doing the things to them that you're doing to this child right here, right? Um, and I know, they removed me. They were searching for a place, for a 4-year-old because I was turning 4 the next day. And I don't know if it was because it was late in the evening or what it was, but they could not find a placement right then and there. Um, they were, calling around. Again, back then it was hard to place. I was considered an older child, people wanted babies. So a 3, almost 4-year-old was just not in the books for some people. Um, and the caseworker did a huge no-no. Didn't get in trouble for it or anything, but took me home to their house for the night instead of sleeping in the office. And when they had called my mom the next day and they said, hey, you've got this little girl here, blah, blah, blah. Um, and mind you, at that point, I was like 20 pounds. I was barely into 2T clothes. I was a tiny, tiny little thing. And they were saying I had dwarfism, which is there's a type of dwarfism that is attached with malnourishment and neglect. They didn't know how tall I was going to be. Um, they were telling my mom that, hey, she may not get any taller than she is. She may be little like this forever, right? And they had also had said that they thought I was mentally challenged, that I was slow. Okay. Of course, they used different wordage back then. It's not PC to use that word now, but um, my mom, of course, immediately was like, yes, and I remember going to see her and my dad. I remember them coming and getting me. We had a little beetle bug. So I called it was a beetle bug, Volkswagen Beetle, 1972 Super Beetle, blue with white interior. And my spot was in the middle in the back. And it had the hump on there, and you could stand up on there. That was my favorite spot until my brother came. Oh, and I had to share that back seat, but I at least had that spot for a year. Um, and I just remember, we went out and I had all these gifts they got me, and I had a birthday cake, and I had little Cinderella on the top. I had that little Cinderella for a long time. And my mom she always told me, she goes, you just kept saying, this is for me, this is for me. And she just couldn't understand that, like, what, Um, yeah, it was nice that they were all, it was all for me. I was like, wow, Um, and of course, as time went on, my mom realized, she's like, no, this little girl is very smart. She goes, the problem is she can't hear. She went to take me to the specialist in Tacoma, and when she got there, they started fussing at her. Well, how come you didn't bring her in? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, whoa, 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 what are you talking about? They didn't realize that she was the quote unquote foster parent at the time. They were thinking that it was the bio mom who brought me in. And, they were getting on her like, you were supposed to bring her, da 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 da. And anyways, they had to, discuss that. And, I couldn't hear, obviously. I still have a hearing problem. I do have, my left ear is damaged, and the hearing loss from there is from childhood. They said either I was next to a bomb when it went off, or I got hit extremely hard in the head on that side, the left side. Which, they'd ask me, my mom used to ask me that question a lot growing up, and she didn't tell me that until I was older. Because I was like, Mom, why do you keep asking me if I remember a loud noise? And then she finally told me. But the abuse was pretty extensive. The caseworker had told my mom, hold on a second. Shoot, you got the wrong one. Y'all, my daughter come out here telling me there's a big old spider out in the garage. One, don't even go in the garage then. She said, you need to come kill it. I'm not killing no spider. No. I don't think so. I'm not getting eat up tonight by a spider, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, where was I? Sorry about that, guys. Trying to remember. Oh, the hearing issue. Yeah. So hearing loss is from that, and there was a lot of physical abuse. There really was. And for starters, when they, my aunt told me this, my biological aunt, when I had found everybody and talked to them and stuff. She told me that, when they brought me home from the hospital, my birth mom told everybody, "Oh, don't mess with her, don't touch her, she's evil." Huh? A newborn baby? So, obviously there was mental illness with our birth mom. And the more time went on, the more prevalent that was. Oh, see, cracking asses? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still had good hearing in my right ear, but now I'm losing that too. But, it is what it is. Um, but I have had a lot of problems from that, the damage that was done to the left ear. I've had several surgeries and tubes and everything else, and eh, you know. But oh, I know. I was gonna say. I remember my mom was telling me that the caseworker had said, you know, if you don't want her, because they were wanting, he's like, this is going for adoption. So if you don't want her, you need to let me know because she's not going back there. And he said, over my dead body. He said, I will do anything I can to keep her from going back there. And they said that the file was labeled life threatening. They said I didn't have a year left if I stayed there. That's how, so it was severe. It was pretty, pretty brutal. There's some pretty hardcore things there that happened. And I remember some of the incidences. Um, and I just think, wow, nowadays that shit would happen. Oh my goodness. I mean, it does still happen these days, but well, it seems like you usually get caught, right? I mean, I remember 3 years old. We were living out in Washington, out in Shelton, Washington. And I remember moving to these apartments. I remember traveling from California to the apartments. And there was a hole in the window. Window was broke. And it was freezing cold. No mattress on the bed. It was a bunk bed that just had the metal grates on it. No pillow, no blanket, no nothing. And they knew it was wrong because my sister told me she remembers them saying, our grandparents are coming over. And she goes, our dad had said, don't you think you should put the mattress back on if they're going to be over here? Or maybe our birth mom had said it. I don't know. One of them had said it. So they knew that was wrong if they had seen there wasn't even a mattress in there. But I had to sleep in there by myself. Everybody else was in the other bedroom. So it was a 3-bedroom apartment. And I know we couldn't. I just remember sitting there freezing my patootie off that night. But I, remember a time we were supposed to be going to the laundromat. And there was a bottle of ERA, ERA. And I tell you, I know who spilt it. To this day, I remember who spilt it. Okay? But I remember who got their ass beat for it. Which is fine because, my sister was younger than me. She's almost 2 years younger than me. And she was this little itty bitty thing. And we had gotten loaded up in the truck and the bottle got spilt over. So there was laundry detergent on the floor. And my sister, Gloria and Junior, were older. They were in school. So they weren't there. It was just us 3 young ones. And I remember, man, Teresa, she pulled me up out of that truck. She whooped my ass. She whooped me all the way going inside. I was not walking. She was holding me by the arm. It was one of those, swing your kid around and beat them, and then she threw me against the wall in the top bunk. and I hit that wall, and I still remember the feeling of that. I was really young, but I still remember the feeling of that where you couldn't breathe because it hits you so hard, you know. And it took me a moment to catch my breath, and and she told me not to get down from there, don't move. Well, she took the babies and she went to the laundromat, left me there by myself. So when my brother got home, he had these construction printouts that he had made, construction cutouts. You have your construction paper and you make, people and paste them down and everything. Hey, Shuby Mom and Echo, KK. Um, and he wanted me to come down and see him. And he was like, come on, come and see him, come and see him. And I remember I told him, I was like, I can't. She'll be coming home. She told me to stay up here. And he says, I'll tell you when she's home, you know. And so I'm down there looking at the pictures and we're carrying on talking. But I was so impressed with him. I was so impressed with the pictures that he made. He put all of us on there, even me. And next thing you know, here she comes in the door. I almost made it up because I remember him looking at me and he said, go, go. And she probably heard that too, but I almost made it up on that bunk. My last leg had to get over the ladder. She caught me, y'all. She caught me. I was in for it. I don't remember too much about that beating, but I do remember my brother screaming at her, begging her that it was his fault. It was his fault. He told me to get down. Like he was stepping up in front of the plate there, trying to get her attention drawn to him instead of me. And, he's only 16 months older than me. He was very young himself, 5 years old, you know. Um, same apartment. I remember there was one time there was a bowl of lettuce she was trying to get me to eat, and I refused to eat it. I was very stubborn, y'all. Very stubborn. Okay. And I think it's kind of helped me out. I'll tell you, it didn't help me too much when I was little because I probably should just ate the lettuce and just gone about my business, especially considering there didn't always get fed, you know. But I guess even, half starved, I didn't care if I ate the lettuce or not. It was just plain lettuce, nothing on it, nothing, you know. Everybody else had hot dogs and cottage cheese. Don't know why I remember that, but, whatever. So I remember our dad was sitting at the table. My mom was sitting in a chair in the living room, the end of the hallway. She told me, I wasn't, sent me to the room, I guess. And then I guess she was mad because I didn't eat the lettuce. So she had my brother, Junior, come and get me. And he kept begging me the whole way. Now, that hall seemed really long at that time, okay? I'm sure it wasn't that long. When I was little, it made it look, it seemed like it was really long. But now I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, this is a small little place. But she sat there with a Tinker Toy, threatening to poke my eye out because I didn't eat the lettuce. These are things that you remember. You're like, oh my gosh, And I mean, this is how stubborn I am, guys. So stubborn. My brother was begging me, just eat it, sis, just eat it. She'll leave you alone. Just eat the lettuce. She'll leave you alone. I was like, no. I went right up to her. And I'm just this little tiny shit, right? And that's probably what made her even madder when I think about it, And I went right up to her, like, go ahead, do it. Like I wasn't even flinching. And then finally, I mean, she had it right there, right up to my eye. And my dad yelled at her, cut it out. That's enough. So I at least got to keep keep both eyes. Hey, fancy. Fancy. So, and I just remember there's certain things that I remember. There's definitely different situations, and we all have different memories of our childhood, and some of them are the same, some of them are different. But I do know that the abuse it called for removal, and all of this should have been removed in one shot. But good old CPS didn't think so at the time. They didn't seem to think so at the time, And there was a lot more, like I remember she was trying to potty train my younger sister, and I was in the tub, and I had looked over at my sister, and of course she started crying. She's looking at me. She's looking at me. She's pointing at me. So Teresa then proceeds to hold my head under the water, and I remember at 3 years old thinking I'm going to die. Now this is what I ask: is how does a 3-year-old know that? And that's always it wasn't even the action, because I'm alive, I'm good, right? So it wasn't the action really that bothers me now. What bothers me now is that a 3-year-old would think that, because I look at my kids and I think, oh my god, would my kids ever think that I am going to kill them, I'm going to drown them? I would never want that. Like, that horrifies me, to think that, and to think that I thought those things. I remember thinking those things at such a young age. And I just wonder, like, no child should even be equipped knowing that at that age. It shouldn't have those fears at that age. Oh, cracking asses, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Um, and that's a good thing you bring up there, because the whole point of only removing me was because I was basically the black sheep of the family. I reminded her of whoever abused her, and it was a singular incident. I was the only one that CPS thought she was abusing. Did I get the brunt of it at that point? Probably. Um, More frequently, we should say. Let's just say it like that. I mean, I got it more frequently. Um, but again, my opinion, it doesn't matter if it's that one that you're actually physically abusing. If the other children are witnessing it, that is abuse. We're not talking about just giving a kid a whooping. Like, oh, you're getting a spanking. Yeah. Um, I know Fancy. She's got things she can tell you too, and there's still certain things that she doesn't tell me that she knows, and I know she knows, and I'm good with it. It's fine. Because some things I think are just too brutal. You just have to keep them under wraps, But it just gets to a point where you know enough. You know what I mean? Um, I do know for a long time, you know, I a a lot of years. I know my sister told me she always thought it was Ron who did most of the abuse, which was our father. And I said, no, the bulk of the abuse I remember was from her. He more or less would come in, and he wasn't a perfect parent either, y'all. Okay, more times than not, he would get me and he would um, take me to his mother's house when he saw things were really rough. Um, so he tried, but he didn't do enough, is what they told him. You didn't do enough to protect the child. Protecting her and me, I guess. It is what it is. But he had a lot of issues as well. Um, I do, I remember being set up on that counter, and yeah, she's like, oh, we don't want her, and I know that they were saying there was bruises all over. I know the caseworker, Fancy remembers the caseworker asking our parents. Well, can you explain why she has over 30 odd bruises on her? And their response was, she's clumsy. And I know, now when I was 3, 4 years old, I used to wet the bed, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, okay? I don't do it anymore, but I definitely had a bedwetting problem. And I was, from the waist down, beet red. There was a line right there in the middle. And I remember my mom had told me, oh, it's because, wet the bed, it burns your skin. It'll make you red like that. So we got to make sure we bathe you. But the truth was, my mom told me later on, those were things like, she said that if I didn't remember it, that she didn't want to make me remember it, right? And there were some things that I don't remember. I don't. But the red marks were burns, and it was from being repeatedly dunked in scalding hot water. I don't remember that, but I will tell you this. To this day, and I'm a little bit better about it now, I think, because I have a better understanding of it. But I like a hot bath just like anybody else, right? Okay. But if the water's really hot and I put my foot in, I freak out. Never understood that until my mom told me that part. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. The other thing is I never realized why I freak out. Y'all, this is going to sound crazy, okay? Where if I go to open a door and I cannot get it open, like it just, the block is, wonky or whatever it is, right? I panic. There's this internal panic, and I'm sure if you were to see my face, you'd be like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, I mean, in just instant panic attack, not even just anxiety, panic. Even though there's windows around, there are other doors that I know I can get out of. I never understood that either. I thought that was something that was normal. Okay, I did, because I never said anything to anybody. I just would have to breathe through it and work through it, figure it out myself. Like, it's okay, just calm down, Well, again, I don't remember this, but I think there's certain things that you just block out. Teresa's favorite thing to do would to throw you in the closet and throw dirty clothes on top of you and close the door and lock you in. And Fancy would say, you don't remember that because you used to scream bloody murder, and I was like, oh, well, that's why I freak out when there's a locked door. So even if you can't, remember things, there's certain things that, to me, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. So this isn't normal. You don't feel this way. You don't react like that, so much so this happened. Oh my gosh. I was 7 years old, and my brother was 3 or 4. I was 7, 8. I'm pretty sure I was 7, so he was 3 because he was 4 years younger than me. And this is my adopted brother. After we were adopted, my mom and dad, we were moving from Washington State over to Virginia, and we were going cross country. And back then, y'all know you could go to the bathroom and pretty much you were okay. I wouldn't let my children at that age go at this time, but we were at a place called Duffy's barbecue or buffet. So we had stopped for dinner before going to the hotel and blah blah blah. And my brother had to go to the bathroom, so him and I go over to the bathroom. Well, the door was broke, and it had it propped open with a cardboard, and there's no knob or anything on it. So once the door closed, you couldn't open it again from the inside. And so my brother goes over and he pulls that cardboard out. Because why? When we go into the bathroom, we close the door. We don't leave it open, right? So he's just thinking he's doing the right thing. And of course, me, understanding the situation that's going on, I start screaming. And he's like flipping out, like, what? And I was screaming bloody murder because we could not open that door. So then he starts screaming because I'm screaming, and he doesn't even know why I'm screaming. And a lady walks in. I mean, I'm sitting there, I mean, just tears falling down. And I'm across the bed, and she opens the door and comes in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And I'm so hysterical that I can't even. I'm just pointing at the door, and I'm trying to get it out, but I couldn't because I was screaming so hard. And then she let the door close, and I remember I just kind of went down, and I was like, "We can't get out." And she's like, "Oh no!" So she's frantically like, I gave her a little PTSD, I think, because she's frantically over there trying to open the door, and then she turns around and she's like, "It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. We're gonna get the door open." Well, by this point, my mom and dad are sitting out at the table, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, do you hear those kids? Oh, how embarrassing!" And then all of a sudden, my mom looks at my dad and she goes, "Oh my gosh, those are our kids." So she has to come running in. She comes running in the bathroom. I'm still screaming. She comes in, closes the door. It closes behind her. I'm freaking out even more. And my mom, she had no clue what was going on. She's like, "What in the world?" And I'm trying to get it out, like, the door, the door. And then finally, she realized, and she's like, "Wait a minute. As soon as somebody comes in, we'll get it." And finally, somebody came in. We were open the door, and, whatever. But that's just how those things will stick with you. And, like, I never understood why I freaked out. So Fancy told me. Yeah, yeah. You keep you in there for days. Well, that's probably why I freak out on closed doors. And that's what I'm thinking is, crazy. What we do to our children, it definitely affects them and carries over through a lifetime. Like, I know for the food issue, right? Um, and this is where it was kind of hard because this friend of mine who was doing foster care, and she had these two little girls, and the one, had problems eating out of the trash, and they couldn't get her to stop doing it. And I was like, "Well, yeah, because she's been without food. And she said, "But she's been with us for 6 months." Just looked at her. I said, "You do know she's going to struggle with that for her whole life, right? That's going to always be an issue on some level. She's going to be able to manage it, but 6 months is nothing. This child's gone how long without having enough food? You know, um, Even if they have plenty of food. And for me, I definitely did that. I would just devour food. I would eat, 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 eat. My mom was like, "She's going to make herself sick," and the doctor said, "Just let her. It's okay. She'll balance out." I know I would freak out if we ran out of milk. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. We ran out of milk, and my mom said, "We're getting in the car right now to go get milk," because I was crying all the way. "Oh, little devil, you were adopted too. Awesome." Um, so, like I said, there was a lot of issues. There were a lot of things. I have a special thing with hiking boots. There's a Black Soul, those brown Brahm hiking boots. Yeah, got one of those in the face too, and I was still just a little thing. But there's, the shit that they would do. I mean, especially her. Like I said, he wasn't any better, but our bio mom was pretty vicious towards me for whatever reason. You know, um, we know that she had mental illness. We know that she was abused as a child, and there's a lot of dysfunction. When you look into the family, it's eye-opening. You're like, well, that's how this came about. Like you can see it. Um, so besides this, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, all these other things, um, lack of food, just not feeding us, whatever, um, neglect. It's definitely neglect. There was a lot of situations that were very harmful, put in situations that children shouldn't be put in because parents should be there to protect them. those kind of things, and Fancy's, that's her story. I try not to tell any of my sibling stories, not at all because I'm trying to be selfish and only tell mine, but I've always said it's not my story to tell. Um, I have them that, tell their story. Um, we do have two brothers now that I, hell, we get to tell their story now because they're no longer with us. So I don't feel as bad if we do talk about our brother Waylon or we talk about our brother Ronnie because there was atrocious things that happened to them. This should, of course, should not have. Oh yeah, that would be cool, little devil. Tell a story. And you know what? I don't mind. See, I know some people, they say, "Oh, you overshare." Look, my life's an open book, man. What do you want to know? I have nothing to hide. If there's something that I don't want on the YouTube streets, I don't tell it, right? I mean, to me, telling my story, somebody else telling their story, um, the naysayers, the negative naysayers can say whatever they want. Um, I do find that there's a lot of times that it is, I've met some really amazing people because talking about adoption, talking about, our experiences in life, and you hear about other people's experiences. So, like I said, I'm only comfortable sharing what I share. I'm completely comfortable with it, just as I am comfortable talking about my children. I don't usually say names or specific things and what I'm situations or things that we're dealing with. Um, I'm okay with. Um, I would never want to embarrass my child in any kind of way. So I know that if it's there are certain things that I don't discuss, but um, I think it helps me to talk about it. Yeah, KK. There's a lot of kids who've gone through it. Drugs or alcohol? I don't know. I would say alcohol was definitely there. True story. The family pictures that we do have, which I'll tell you a story about how I acquired those later. But um, like almost, you're really hard pressed to find a picture of any of the adults without beer or wine in their hands. I'm just saying, again, it was the 70s, but was she a hardcore alcoholic? I don't remember her drinking a whole lot when I was there. I know after I was removed, I know her alcohol game got stepped up. Um, did they drink? Yes. Did she have mental illness? Oh, yes. And I think it was exacerbated by the abuse in her childhood. The fact she was young when it started really coming out. It was right when it usually does, in your 20s, but I think it was pregnancies as well. And she had five of us very close together. Very close together. So I don't, she wasn't, how do I say it not to be mean, but, well, there's no way I really can say it. She wasn't capable of loving us like a mother would. And that may be a hard one for some people to swallow or to understand, but the mental illness was just so prevalent. And it just, did she love us in her way? I'm sure she did. It's some part of her did. Um, was she capable of being that loving, doting mother? No. And my aunt even told me that when I called her and was like, "Hey, this is me. I know it's been 20 something years, but I'm trying to find my siblings and blah blah blah." And she had told me, well, you can speak to your mom, and I was like, "Oh, Teresa," because my mom is my mama. Okay, guys, there's no denying that. That's my mom. Teresa is the one who gave birth to me and tortured me for a few years. That's how I look at that one, and she tortured my siblings. So, um, I respect the fact that she at least gave birth to me, and she did, keep me alive, barely, but she kept me alive for a while. Yeah, she used alcohol a lot more later. For a few years, we were in an abusive cult church, and those years were no alcohol then. So, yeah, so I thought her alcohol picked up later on. But she definitely, she was different. She definitely was, she seemed to be a little bit more caring and nurturing to the two youngest, especially Will and the baby. Um, and I don't know though, because she still lacked a lot of things there too. There's just a lot, a lot. Now, I was removed at 4, the day before my 4th birthday. And so I think it's kind of cool that I'm able to sit there and say that I met my parents on my 4th birthday. Literally did. Which, ironically, our birth mom is March 30th. I'm March 31st, and one of my sons is April 1st. So, you know, I was removed on her birthday. I was, oh, okay. But, as a child who's adopted, I think for me, I always thought my true torture was not having my siblings. That was my torture in life. I always knew that I was in a better place. I always, in my mind and in my heart, I always thought Teresa hated my guts, and she may have. I don't know. I know the way treatment was. I didn't feel any love loss. Okay, I never, and I can honestly tell you this, I never sat there and cried. I just want to go home to my mom and dad. I just want to go home to mom and dad. No, I would cry and cry and cry, and I would ask for my siblings. I wanted to know where they were, why I couldn't see them, why I couldn't see them. And I remember telling my mom years later, and I said, I said, you remember I ever just stopped asking? She's like, yeah. She says, you used to ask all the time, and then all of a sudden you just stopped. And I said, I remember the last time I asked you. We were riding down the road, and I was in the Beetle Bug, leaning over the seats talking to you. And I'd ask her if I could see him, and she had said no, that just wouldn't be possible. And then when I turned 18, and she was, because she was very honest with me, and I remember sinking back in that seat, just leaning back. So sad, because to a 4-year-old, 18, that's a lifetime, y'all. So, for me, I always knew I was in a better place. I knew I had it good where I was. My torture, and this is where, this is why I'm really hardcore about keeping siblings together. I don't think they should be split up. My mom was very open and honest with me. Of course, she kind of had to be about certain things because I was 4 and I did have memories. But she always discussed it with me. It was never anything that was like, oh, we're not talking about that. Now, my brother, a year after I was adopted, he came along, and he was a baby, 16 months old, and not my biological brother. He was a brother from another mother and another mister. But she could have kept things from him, and she never did. She always told him the truth and was very open and honest with him about it. So, yes, they did take the other kid's turtle dove. They sure did. 5 years later. And that's where my burden is, y'all. That's where my burden. That's I can talk about the shit that happened to me all day long, but don't get me to talking about my siblings. The stuff that happened to them, I can't do that. So they, because that stuff will get me crying. I don't like. But one day we'll be able to sit and maybe talk about it because I do feel like our brother passed away from a drug overdose. My older brother, the one who was always trying to protect me, and he was just a little guy himself. And to me, I always looked up to him as larger than life, and just I always wanted to be able to tell him, thank you, and for him to know I knew, you know. Um, and then, our younger brother this past October took his own life. And to me, I really do. I feel like certain ghosts, haunt you, and they haunt you for a long time. So those situations, it's you know, like I look at my kids and I'm like, okay, we got to get you some therapy. We got to arm you with this. We got to, because once it happens, the only thing that you can do at that point is to arm them with coping skills, and all you can do is pray that it's enough. It's just, just my thoughts on, both of our brothers. It's just, I do. I feel like the ghost of the past, and I'm sure anybody's heard me talk. I'm sure some of you have heard me say, well, adults are supposed to protect the children. That's what we're here for. And adults have failed. So in our situation, there were adults who failed. There was caseworkers who failed. Our brother Whaling, he tell you the story about when the caseworker came and they went running after the car because she left him there with no frickin' food, no fucking water, no electricity, no nothing, and drove off and said that they were good. No, they weren't. Oh, and not an adult in sight, not a parent even there. So it's just there's a lot of adults who failed in the situation, a lot of them, and it just oh yeah, oh no, look, you don't need to be sorry. Look, physically changes you. And it does. You're right, Fancy. You're absolutely right. Yeah, childhood trauma literally physically changes you, and then your brain chemistry changes. You're at higher risk for many ailments and shorter lifespan. Yeah, that's true. They have proven that trauma and abuse it has everlasting effects, guys. And it's just oh my goodness. So if you ever see a child you think maybe abused, you want to say something. Um, I don't know. It's just that's just where I do think that it affected them, and it affects all of us. Because our younger sister has also battled addiction, um, a lot of issues there too. But I love my siblings, guys. I don't care the demons that they're battling or anything like that. You don't ever think that I'm sitting here talking shit about one of my siblings. No, because I will throw down for that. Okay. Um, Addiction is a powerful thing, and for my siblings, I can see. I'm thinking, man, how are we not all just complete druggies? Like to want to get away from those ghosts in your past and those demons. I get it. I completely get it, man. I smoke cigarettes and drink coffee, y'all, and I'm grateful because I was adopted and my mom was very on top of you're going to see the best psychiatrist that you can for you. They, when it came to um, I had to go see the ENTs all the time, and we moved a lot, but she was always, that was one of the things that she did, um, before even looking at the school system was, it had to be a good school system, but we had to have a really good, excellent ENT, and who's the best around. How far do we have to go? I know my parents drove 2 hours for me to go see one time because of the major surgeries. Oh, the reunion. Oh, cracking asses. Let me tell you, honey. Um, you know, so I was adopted, right? 5 years later, they were adopted. And there's even more in between that story, too. But I'll get to the reunion real quick. Um, I know that you know, my brother had passed away, and I found out 3 months to the day of his passing. I had talked to Fancy on the phone for the first time since we were little itty bitties, right? And there was five of us, Delia. There's my sister Fancy, my brother Junior, me, which he's Ronnie, then me, and Candy and Waylon. There was five of us. And so, so many times I'd be calling people in the phone book trying to find somebody. So I go on searching yet again, and I ended up I finally got a hold of a family tree. It ended up being a cousin who was also adopted outside of the family, and then he was able to get me in touch with, family. So um, I was spoken to some of the aunts and our birth mom, and because the other four had been adopted, still hadn't found them. And that's who I was trying to get to. That was my desperation, was getting to them. And so Teresa had given me some names, and I look up one of the names, and I call, and it's this guy who actually went to school with my siblings, had a crush on my younger sister, and he happened to just be visiting from out of town. He lived in Washington, and he was visiting his uncle in Idaho, and he was on a fireman's convention. And he had told me that he couldn't place anything because I didn't know their last name. I just knew first names. Because their last name changed when they were adopted. And I know I had told him, well, my brother Waylon has a glass eye. He lost his eye. No, I didn't know he had a glass eye. I said he lost his eye. What I said, he lost his eye. And so he had said he would look, if he found anything out, he would call me back. I said, okay. So he goes, the next day or 2 days later, we were going to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. And we had taken our two oldest kids and their two best friends. And they had gone to go on a roller coaster. And my son and my daughter didn't want to go. So their best friends, they went with my husband, and my daughter's best friend, her parents had come too. So they all went to go on this roller coaster, but my two oldest had said, you know what, we've just had it. We're not doing roller coasters. So we went to go on the swings, which was my favorite ride. I love the swings. Okay. Big, swirly things, And we were standing in line, and my phone rings. And I didn't get to it in time. So I checked it. It's a voicemail from this guy. And I call him back. And he tells me, I hate to tell you this, especially like this over the phone. And I already knew what he was going to tell me. I know. And I tell you what, I don't know if I ever prayed so hard. It's one other time I think I prayed that hard. And, please don't let him tell me what he's going to tell me. Don't let him tell me. Don't let him tell me. I don't want to hear it. Don't let it be. And he told me that my brother had passed away, my older brother. And that's how I found my siblings, was through his obituary that happened to be on this guy's uncle's table. And he had gone and sat down and looked over, and there it was. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's who she's talking about. So I then had names, and I was able to, let me call him. And so, of course, I immediately get on there, and I had talked to their adoptive mom. She gave me my sister's phone number, and I wasn't trying to be rude, but, she was talking, and I'm not going to be rude to somebody, but I really was just like, can you get off the phone? Let me call my sister. Hey, it's been 20-something years. I'd like to talk to her. Um, and, so I was able to call her, and how do you make that call, right? I mean, I was desperate to make the call, and I did, but I was like, what do you do? What do you say? It's not usually a phone call you make every day, right? And I remember her boyfriend at the time, he answered the phone, and I was like, it's Gloria there. Yeah, hold on. He goes to wake her up because she was working night shift. The bratty little sister waking you up, not letting you get any sleep, And so he's like, I heard him. He goes, hey, I think it's your sister. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How does he know that? What? I never said I was her sister. How did he know? And so she gets on the phone and she's like, Candy? No. And I was saying to her, I don't know if you know this or you remember, but you had a sister, Juanita. That was my birthday. Yes, it was. And she was like, yeah. And I said, it's me. And I said, actually, my name is Rebecca. I want to make sure you understand my name is James. Okay. But then she was like, oh my God. So, but there was, we talked, and it was really, awesome because, you hear about her babies and telling her about my babies and just everything in life. You get a lifetime to catch up on, and all these things. And so of course, it was a plane ticket. I said, gotta fly out there and go see him. So flew out there, and that was probably because guys, with the loss of my brother, really, like, I'm able to talk about it now and I'm okay, but after I get off of here, I'll probably start falling again. I couldn't even speak his name for 2 years without being a complete puddle, and so I was really reeling in those emotions, and that grief was really, really heavy, and it was really a hard one, because you have this grief of, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get to see him again, and then the happiness of seeing the other ones. So I got to see my sisters and my brother, but so I always say that was the best flight I ever took and the worst flight, because getting on that plane, I had a layover. So by the time I got on the second plane, and the whole time I was just thinking, this has got to be the worst flight, because I know once I see them, it's solidifying that he really isn't there, that he really is gone. And so that was, but it was the best flight because I was able to see them again. And so, we get there, and I crying the whole way, like a fool, and get down. Sure enough, I'm walking down the corridor, and there they are with the news crews. News crews, y'all. The news was there. We were on the news that night. We've got it on VHS somewhere, and we should get a hold of it and actually put it on DVD or something, But I know, I was like, whatever, get out of my face. They're asking questions, and I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to hug them, I just want to get to them, And it's funny because you would think, okay, being separated for so long and not having, those years being raised together, that there would be like awkwardness or a lot of silence and like, oh gosh, but there wasn't for me, because I am the bratty, annoying little sister. So for my big sister, I was like, hey, 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 we just, it's kind of like we just picked up where we dropped off, so to speak. Like the time wasn't even, again, that's a hard one because, you do have that time that you're missing. And I do that always kind of is like salt in the wound where you have to say, well, my mom and your mom and our mom. That always kind of, that does, it does a little twinge in the side, like, dadgummit. But it is really amazing to have that connection still. And I get it, not all siblings are connected like that, but we were. We still are. And yeah, it was just nice we didn't have, it was just kind of like, hey, let's go. Um, and then, so I got to fly out there and meet all her kids and, we got to, hang out. And then a couple weeks later, it was actually, that was in August. And then October, um, we got tickets for them to come out and they got to come and meet my kids and, you know, all the rest of the family. And our children are very, very close, interestingly enough. Um, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a good thing. Like I said, we always joke about it because like one time my younger sister and I, we were out at a restaurant and we had a big group of people we were with, and we always have fun wherever we go. And the waitress looked at us and she's like, boy, y'all are sisters? And we're like, yeah. And she says, I bet you drove your parents crazy growing up. And I looked at my sister and she looked at me and she got to it before I could. She goes, yeah, just not the same parents. And the lady looked so confused. And, so, but I always joke around and I always think, you know what? No set of parents could have handled this all together. I would have been like, I was the breaking point. That's why we were not raised together. So I would have done him in. The rest of the kids drove him crazy. I would have been the nail in the coffin, so to speak. Because my mom always told me though. She goes, that's why Teresa. She always said to me, she goes, you always had that shine in your eye. She goes, you're stubborn as all get out. And she goes, they couldn't break you. And that's what made her mad. They couldn't break you. Which is probably true. Because like I said, I was stubborn as hell. I still am, guys. Oh yeah, it turned out we were separated for a long time. We were. But we're not now, so. And I always feel complete. And this is, again, I think it's one of those things, unless you go through it, you may not understand it. Maybe you do, if you've been through it or whatever. Like I said, my whole thing growing up was I always wanted my siblings. When I wanted to find my family, and I don't mean any ill will towards any of the rest of the family at all, it was just my concern was getting to my siblings. That's what I wanted. That's it. I don't need anybody else. You just give me them and I'm good to go. And that is, still how it is. And I know when I had talked to one of the aunts, it was kind of disturbing because I don't know, it just kind of bothered me. They're like, this is what she said. Oh, we always wondered what happened to you. So nonchalantly, and I'm like, it was a great aunt. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I could never imagine saying something like that to one of my, like, well, I always wondered what happened to you. Huh. And I know that like when I talked to Teresa on the phone the first time, I did. I was the one who was having to tell them that our brother had passed. She didn't know, and this I had a really, really hard time with because I was grieving so hard for him, and that was my brother. Like, it wasn't my child. That was my brother. And her response, this was her second born child, her firstborn son, and her response to me was, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that about your brother." Excuse me. Like, I really had a hard time with that one, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, all these years later, I can actually speak it, but I'm telling you, it took me years to be able to even say that without just bawling. Um, because just he deserved so much more than that. And I do feel that way. I feel like you deserve more than that from your parent, your biological parent who birthed you. So it is hard to. Oh, Aaron, how are you, buddy? Guess who's back? Uh oh, what you back for? And Charlie girl, I am stubborn. I am stubborn as hell. I know I am. Mm-mm-mm. Stubborn, stubborn, stubborn. Mm-mm-mm. Charlie girl, you want a link? She probably going to bed, yo. She's like, I'm tired. I ain't coming up. Ah, Turtle Dove, you seen that? Hey, Ron. You done messed up. Hey, Ron. All right, Balaki. Hey, Ron. Yeah, we've just sitting here chatting about adoption. You know what? I was taking this to a serious level tonight. I figured it's a late night. It's all good. Yeah, and we'll do some other lives. Like I said, it'll be a series, because there's so much to unpack. There's just no way to even unpack it all in just, a lot, a day or anything. Oh, you wouldn't want me any stubborn. You wouldn't want me to. I'll drop the link in case you're not answering me, but I understand. I know it's late. You ain't got to come up, but in case you do, or if anybody else wants to come up, you can come up and chat. Um, Carrie. Did I say hi to Carrie? I hope I haven't missed anybody. But yeah, little devil, it'd be nice to hear your story too sometime. If you ever want to share it, like I was saying, I would never force anybody to share their story because this is a YouTube that is a public platform. Um, so you can understand when I say there's nothing you can do to me that it's going to hurt me, that I'm going to give two shits about, really. No offense, but the YouTube drama, that's why I can let so much of it just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you're not going to find me in a corner crying over it, guys. Oh, Charlie girl, you don't have to worry about it. My life story, I'm done with my life story now. Maybe you'd have some questions and want to interview me. Oh, yeah, Greg, it's all right. You know what? Maybe it'll help somebody else out. Maybe somebody else is sitting there all those, for years couldn't understand why hot water on my feet really triggered me, or I didn't even look at it as a trigger. I thought everybody reacted that way. Oh, I know what I was going to say. This is the other one, the food issue. Okay. And because, there was some lack of food. Okay. Um, my thing was, I eventually understood, yeah, you get more food, and I still battle with it to this day, y'all. It's bad. I definitely know how to deal with it, and I'm okay. But I do have to tell myself, like when I get my pantry stocked, I don't want anybody to touch it. I don't want anything messed with. Like I don't want to use the food because it'll be gone, you know. But it's okay. We'll just go out and get more. And I have to tell myself that all the time. Even now, all these years later, I know I've got money. I know we're gonna go get groceries. We're not gonna starve. I still, in my mind, I have to go, oh, it's okay, it's okay. Just, we'll get more. We'll get more, you know. But that's just how those things affect people and affect you for a lifetime, really. Well, you're more than welcome to come up, Charlie Girl, if you want to. You know, if you don't want you to, it's okay. Oh, always want to adopt children? Um, yeah, because I always thought about it. I didn't ever know if it was going to happen because, my first marriage was really, really rocky. And my husband now, who I'm married to for 25 plus years, um, before him and I got married, we talked about it, you know, and he said, yes, he wanted to adopt children because his mom also did foster care as well. She didn't adopt any, but she did foster care. And, oh yeah, Monica, hold on, I'll get to that. Um, so we had discussed it, and we he was in the Navy at the time, so we had our children. We were done having children. We'd always said he said when he got out of the Navy and he retired, we'd look into it and we would do it, and that's what we did. So it worked out. And the mental illness, yeah, Monica, we know what it is. Oh, okay, okay, you buy two everything. See, yeah, yeah. Well, and see, this is look because I do have 12 kids. Not all of them live at home now, okay, but because we are a large family, I get to hoard things like that, and it's acceptable. So I've got an easy out on this one, y'all. But I do, I have to tell myself it's okay. It's okay. You have to have more than enough. It's fine. Oh, Mayor. Oh, honey, I know depression is very real. I get that. I totally get that. Yeah, yeah. And KK, you know what? I have actually let myself run out of things, and I do have an internal panic, but I just calm myself down and say, um, "Hey, KK."
I had
Yeah,
that F one up. I apologize.
oh, it's okay. You would what?
I had the middle finger up. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she was paranoid schizophrenic and probably a few other things too, but definitely that. Yeah. And then our father was borderline psychotic. That's what that was told to me, anyways, on the checks that they have to do of the parents. So, what's up, KK?
May I ask you a question?
Oh, yes, you may.
I'm trying to figure out the right wording I want to say. What is one thing you're thankful that you went through on your experience? In life that you brought forward to make it a positive. You know what I'm trying to say? What have you learned from your past that happened to you that you brought to the forward to be more positive?
Oh, that's a good one. I guess, to protect the children.
Yeah.
I mean, and self-sufficiency, seriously, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And that, you do, when you look back on it, when I look back on it, I really have to stop and, again, this may be a hard one to get and understand, but I remember growing up, we would, be at family gatherings, Christmas, house full of people. And I always felt completely alone.
Yes. I've always been the outcast of the family, and
you feel like an outcast, I guess. And I just felt alone. Even though I'm sitting there, it's a room full of people. A family that loved me and took care of me. And that's not to take away from me loving them. not at all. It just, so to me, that signifies, you need to take care of your own mental well-being. Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Only you can do that. So I do have to kind of dig at that. You know what I mean? Like I have to kind of reach in there and say, I mean, I know why I felt all alone is because I didn't have my siblings. That connection there is so strong connection that we have. And, you're out there alone in the world, But I did
Right.
always, I always prayed that they would be together. I was like, please don't have them separated. Please don't have them separated, because I knew how I felt and I did not want that for them. And you know what? God answered that prayer for me. He did have them together.
I was going to
I
say,
know, Erin, I know. She's running from me, honey. She's running. I can't get her.
um, I was going to say, being treated, mine was not as bad as yours. Okay.
Well, all abuse is severe, though.
My mom tried to abort me, but it didn't work. When I was about 4 or 5, yeah, because I would have went into kindergarten. 4 years old, my mother tried to give me away. So, that hurts. And
Yeah.
the food issue, yes, always was till this day. I have food up here in my room because I'm always afraid there won't be no food when I go downstairs. It's like that. But I learned what I was trying to get, asking you the question is I learned to be totally different from everybody else. I learned and watched everybody else, how they were handling things, what they were doing. And I made sure, made sure that I was better. I did better for myself. I wanted more for myself, and that's who I am,
Yeah. You got to break the cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Don't
I
you?
did. Yeah, because my
I'm not
daughter's
perfect.
nothing like this.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to my daughter just last week, because it took a long time, very recently, actually, before I finally went and got on some anxiety medication. Not proud to admit it, but there's no shame in it either.
Nope.
But my anxiety and panic attacks were just getting off the charts. And I've lived with the anxiety for a lot of years. And it did negatively affect me as a parent, as a wife, as a daughter, as a person. It negatively affect me. And where my anxiety and my fears were out of control, like
Yeah.
like being the helicopter mom, like I was so scared for my kids not to succeed, for my kids not to be, where I could see them, where, hey, this is happening. Or, like the issues of being in crowds, going to concerts, going to school functions. It took a long time for me to realize it was anxiety, and I became a royal bitch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about Karen moments, and it just, I don't handle crowds well. I don't handle anytime I feel like it's a confined area, but my anxiety and, my daughter, we were talking about it and I said, if I had just realized that's what was driving me and, and I did, she was like, well, Mom, you didn't know, you don't know, She goes, we all knew something was going on. She knew something was going on. So did my husband, But I just looked at her and I felt so guilty. And I said, you probably would have had a lot better childhood, like I wouldn't have been so driven by those fears and, in my mind, just hysterical, basically. you know. Um, yeah.
Well, it's an honor to know you and be around you. You're a very strong woman. Um,
No,
and like
thank you.
I know you have a big heart, and for more than just kids, and that you have a heart to help others and know what's different. And I think each time, at least for me, anytime I'm around other people, I'm looking to see the real person of them if they need help. The little cry out. I watch people, like even in the, say, a doctor's office, and the little kids there, and I could tell this one kid was being abused in that. And um, I had my daughter. She was in one of those cradles you carry from inside of the car. You know what I mean? I can't think of
Mm-hmm.
it. And um, next thing you know, about 15, 20 minutes, the cops came in and took the parents away and the kid away. And it was like, yeah, seeing that is, as a mom, um, you know, we did not, I worked the odd shifts, and my husband worked the day shifts, and wanted to make sure there was someone with our daughter 24/7. There was
Yeah.
not a parent she couldn't get a hold of. And but I want to thank you for having me up. I don't want to. I just want to say I really admire you very, very much for
Oh,
uh,
thank you,
telling the
Kay.
story. You know, it's very
Yeah.
bright.
Well, I see Little Texas Tornado. You have a brother that was adopted. You don't? Do you have any info at all?
But I love you, and I'll see you later, hon.
All right. Love you too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. If you got any info, you might be able to do some searching. Oh, he lives in Louisiana. So have you seen him or no? You're still looking for him. You haven't seen him since he's an adult, or you know? Shoot, I've been looking it up. I search and search and search. I got, like I told you, man. I've said it before. I have. That's why I said I said it one time. Anybody can be found. Anybody can, unless you are living completely off the grid with not an electric bill, not a water bill, nothing in your name. Uh, you know, you don't even basically don't know you exist. You know, anybody can be found. I found my brother's birth family. I found a friend of mine, his birth father. Yeah, there's been a few. Ooh, so he doesn't. Okay, but is he over 18? Because if he's over 18, it's his choice whether he has contact with the bio family. Oh, he's over 18. Does he know he's adopted? This is where it's going to get sticky. If they haven't told him, he's going to find out. Oh, Pearl, you were adopted too. A slightly different situation for me, as I was adopted within another generation of my bio family after my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer while pregnant with me and died shortly after birth. I'm sorry, but oh, bio dad, I'll try to be gracious to say he was young and scared. Yeah. Decided to abandon his dying wife and baby and had a new girlfriend he went on to marry and a successful family with. Oh, that's, well, well, I'm glad that you have some kind of, connection with him. That you know, you have some kind of contact. At least some point you did. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you know what? You had a good family, right? Yeah, that's true, Pearl. A good relationship that you should have had, and that's very, very true. That's how she felt about you. She loved me knowing she could not stay and see me grow up. I realized what I had truly lost, and it sent me into a major depression. Your heart knows what you should have and had. Yes, that's true. That is very true, and that is something that Um, that's a really good point because we've actually talked about that. You know, with Teresa not having any kind of um, capability. You know, she just was not capable of it, and it was something like when she passed. It hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. Oh, you never met him. He got. Oh, I'm sorry. That's yeah. He never even came to that. See, that's a hard one too. You know, like come on. Um, but you know, when Teresa passed, I know I called my mama crying. And she's, well, I told her, and then she's like, "Oh, how are you? You know, how are you taking it?" See, my mom was awesome. She's like, "Oh, sweetie, how are you taking it? Are you okay?" And I was bawling. I just started bawling, and I said, "You know, it's one of those ones that's really, really hard because you're like, look, I should be really angry at you for what you've done. I should probably hate your guts for what you've done, you know, but I don't. I don't hate you. Am I angry? Probably on a certain level, yeah, you know, frustrated with it because again, she wasn't capable of it. So it was like you're never going to get that motherly connection that, oh, sweetie, whatever. Um, and when she was gone, definitely not going to get it anymore. Um, so yeah, I kind of get that. And I'm sorry, Pearl. That's so sad. Your mama would have been very proud of you, though. Well, she is very proud of you, in my opinion. She's very proud of you. Because I do believe they can still see us and they're around us. That's just my opinion, though. That's my beliefs. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anybody. Oh, oh no, Pearl. Are you serious? Oh, my grandmother tried, but she couldn't hide that she felt my existence had been part of taking away her own beloved child. Oh man, see, that's not how I would look. I wouldn't see it like that way though, Pearl. I would have been like, thank you for giving me this part of you, and I would have felt horrible that she wasn't able to be there to watch you be raised. But so I mean, she gave the best gift that she could. And yeah, yeah. See, she can hate your father too, but that's still, like, hey, you're a loser, but I'm gonna make sure this child is not going to be raised to be like you. And thank you for giving me this baby. Hmm. Maybe we'll go wake up the whole neighborhood. I'm sorry, Pearl. That just makes me sad. There's people out there who love you now. I mean, and I'm sure your grandmother loved you too. Yeah, exactly, Pearl. It's People have to always remember that too. That's why I always say, hey, this was in the 70s. You got to remember things were different. 1919, things were very, very different back then. There was no talk of mental health and all that. They just, you either hid them away in a home or you put them on the front porch with a glass of sweet tea or lemonade and let them rock. It's fine. It seemed to be kind of, but there was definitely the hush hush things back then. Times were really, really different. Yeah, yeah, but oh my goodness, guys. Whew. Yeah. I know my cousin just had her baby, turned 1. She found out shortly after he was born she's one who has cancer. And she wanted to have another child relatively soon because she waited till she's in her late 30s to have kids, and she can't have any more, and but she's battling cancer and will battle it for the rest of her life. But she knows that the baby is everything. I love my grandbabies, boy. Woo-wee. They're the best little blessings in the world, I tell you. Next to your own kids, of course. But see the innocence in children. Mm. But is there any other questions, guys? Anybody got anything else they want to say or anything? 'Cause I'm just talking about that stuff kind of taps you out, I think. Like I said, there's a lot more that can be talked about and chatted about. Like you said, Fancy's got her story. Of course, we have our brother's story and our younger sister. She has a story if she ever wanted to come and chat about it. Um, there's a lot of avenues you can take it down. There's just so many different things that can be discussed, and so like I said, as being a child who's adopted, I get it, and I think that it helps me with my kiddos that are adopted as far as not letting the mama bear take over so much, especially when you do foster care, because that's the oh, Charlie girl, we love you, we're proud to know you too. um but doing foster care, that's where it really, I think for me, it helped me to be able to really look at it from the kid's point and from the parental point, where it's like, because when you have those foster babies and you're having to take them to visits and you see how horrible these parents are, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because some of these parents, oh my gosh. Um, and the mom side of you sees it and, just wants to protect that child and say, no, we're not doing this. How dare you, da 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 da. But you have to maintain, and no matter how horrible the situation is, most of the time, those children want to see their parents. If sometimes if they're not placed with siblings, they have sibling visitations. But we had over 90 children, and out of those 90 children, there was only one child that could have just never gone and seen his parents, and he would have been fine. He didn't want to go see them. He was very, very angry at them, with reason. I get it. But you always have to remember for that child that connection with their bio family, no matter how horrible the situation is, it is still their family, and they still love them, even though they know that they hurt them And I know it's a really hard one to understand, um, because you think, you should hate them. You should, you want them behind bars. And some of them do end up behind bars. Um, that they still don't want anything bad to happen to them. It's that unconditional love, I guess, you know. This might sound dumb, but sometimes I feel guilty that I had the best childhood and parents. No! Why would you feel, look, well, okay, cracking asses. I may get that a little bit because I know I had a good childhood growing up. Once I was adopted, I was good. My parents, I wanted for nothing. My dad made bukus of money. Um, you know, it was a good, it was a good life. My mom did feel guilty when her and my dad got divorced after 25 years of marriage. Um, I just remember telling her, Mom, this is life. What are you talking about? You know, well, we agreed to raise you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Mom, I'm raised. Or, you know, like when I was in high school, it was my senior year, but I was like, Mom, this is life. She felt guilty for that. And I was, you don't need to feel guilty. What are you feeling guilty for? And, oh, I wouldn't feel guilty for having a good life, cracking asses. You had a good one. Just, you know, you're good parents. Oh, you know how, man, I don't know. When you start growing up, people start kind of losing touch, huh? Oh, Maple, see you over there. She's a little lonely too. I hope she does a good job keeping those squirrels away, y'all. And possums. Uh, we're here, man. We're here. Oh, you were the oops baby. You were the menopause baby. Are you the That's what they used to always call them when I was growing up. Was the menopause baby. I don't know if you were or not, but you know, I went to school with some menopause babies, as they would call them. You know. Yeah, good mama. Hey, Kelly. Hey, CJ. You're an amazing mother. Father, not so much. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I always told my mom, you know, here's the best life you can. I mean, it's, huh? You know, like, so you got divorced. It's all right. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it may feel like it when you're going through it, you know, but that's one for the car, you know, one for the course, right? You lost your dad. You were 11. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and you know, I know my mom was very angry with my dad. I found out one of the reasons why she was. It was one of the things I think you know she told me she never really forgave him for it. And that's when their marriage hit the rocks and made a lot of sense. You know, like oh okay. Um, I was 10. My parents started having really serious problems. Now they still stayed married for a while, a long time after that, but things were really, really rocky. And when I was 10, I lived in Michigan. And that is when my other siblings, they were finally saying, okay, they're going to be adopted. And the caseworker had called my dad. And my dad had squashed it and said no. And he never mentioned it to my mom. Never mentioned it to my mom. My mom was mortified when she found out. Oh my goodness. And I remember them arguing and fighting, but I did not know that's what the reason was. I never heard why, right? She had found out from somebody from work, had told his wife, and then when it got mentioned, you know, and they're like, oh, you didn't know? She about hit the roof because, you know, her thing was they could have all been together And she said we had more than enough room. We had a really large house. We, plenty of bedrooms. Money wasn't an issue at all. And she told me, years later, she told me she never really forgave him for that. And she was very angry at him for that because she felt like that was just another, took that from me, took that from my siblings, and ultimately took it from her, because I know at one point my mom had said, when I was 4, hey, you need to bring me their siblings, you need to bring me the other ones because they're not safe there. And they had told her, we're not bringing them. They're fine. So my mom always knew that they weren't. So my mom, ooh, she found out 6 months along, huh? Ah, cracking asses, you made your appearance real quick, huh? 3 months later, here you come. I wasn't given much time to get a nursery ready, especially when the other one was 9 years old. They had to start all over. You weren't even planning on having another one, huh? I bet they spoiled you, huh? Boy. They probably weren't planning on having any more. Did she know she could have more? Or, I mean, my real dad walked out of my life when I was 1. We left my mom with 2 kids, and she had to move back to her hometown so she could work to provide for us until she met my stepdad when I was 2. Oh, I'm sorry, little Texas tornado. Hey, but your mom was a strong woman. Moved back home and working, taking care of you. Oh, Craig, I bet he was pissed he wasn't the baby no more. I'd be mad too. 9 years before you decided to show yourself. Gonna be a little perturbed too. Like, oh, who do you think you are coming up in here? I've been the baby of this house for 9 years. So they had been cracking asses. That might be why she still had his rifle or something, I don't know. Yeah, she's trying to do good. She's trying to do good. That had to have been a shock to your parents, so that had to have been. Oh, CJ. Yeah, at least you could have done is brought your sister instead of a brother. Those little stinky brothers. But hey, if you got sisters, then you gotta share clothes and stuff. Oh, Charlie girl, Mary said you look a lot like her cousin. Told Ever, you older or younger than them? 10 years between y'all? See, y'all, this is something. Look, y'all got 10 years, 9 years. But wait, there's what, 6.5 years between all 5 of us, right? Yeah, because my sister is 3 years older than me, 16 months older was my brother than me, my sister Candy, and then our baby brother. Boom, 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 boom. Literally, my brother was 6 months old when my sister turned 7. The youngest brother. There's 5 of us in there, y'all. That's a short time period, isn't it? That's crazy. 13 years. Oh, get out of here. Well, I can't say anything because my oldest is 31 and our babies are 8. Now, I didn't birth them babies, the youngest ones. I felt like I did something. Oh, my goodness. That's the other thing, guys. Adoption is not easy for anybody. It's great. It can be great. I'm not saying it isn't. But it's challenging, just the process of it all. I've said several times during our whole adoption processes, man, it was just so much easier to have the baby. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sure you're daddy's girl, huh? You're the daddy's girl. Oh, that's so sweet. Crackling Rose. Oh, 0 sisters. Yeah. I don't know. I love my sisters too. I would say, I'd stick with the brothers, but I love my sisters too. And you got to be careful because I said, give me a house full of boys. Ho, ho, ho. Yo, be careful what you say. Don't put this stuff out there in the universe, okay? Because what happened? You got 8 boys and 4 girls. Although, girls can be challenging. I tell you what. But I love all my kids. My boys, my girls. Oh my goodness. I adore them. Oh, 2009. 2022. Oh, cracking asses. I remember when your mom passed away. I can't believe. Or it was shortly thereafter. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. Well, hey, you know what? We all have stories, right? We all have, a life and a past, and I do love to hear about other people's life and what's going on. But in the name of Charlie Girl, I'm nosy. I gotta know. I want to know. I want to hear it. Yeah, you did have your girls. You got your girls finally, CJ. You just had to have them because your mama wasn't gonna give you any more, so you had to have them. All right, I got my girls. I adore them. I do. I love my girls. I love my girls. I love my boys too. Boys are a lot of fun. It's just my younger boys are real challenging. They give me a run for my money. Of course, little lady is too because the twins are the boy and girl, and the next older sister, what 24 now? So 24, 25, and then 29. She's almost 30, the oldest daughter. So you can imagine how little lady gets spoiled because she's the only little girl left in the house. And she is sassy, 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 let me tell you. But she's really good. Her nieces and nephews, she's quite the little mama to them. She's funny though. She's the one who told me the other day. Oh, I'll tell you what happened. I didn't do anything. I bet you didn't, girl. Um, oh, cracking asses. Look, man, I get it. I get you. I do. I lost my mama October is 2022, and I still have issues with that. And it's hard because my mama was my best friend, best friend, and you know, she she was my steady, you know. So I definitely felt her when she was gone, and I feel a little lost, like you're floundering around at sea because, you know, I would pick up the phone and always call her, Mom, you're not gonna believe this, da 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 da. You know, she was my biggest supporter, and we always say that about our kids, right? He's like, I'm your biggest fan, but my mom was my biggest fan. She was my biggest fan, my biggest supporter, and yeah, I miss her like crazy. I miss her every day. I always think, oh, mom was here, what would she say? And I get some of my stubbornness from her too. 'Cause she was kind of stubborn. She was, yeah. Yeah, she taught me a lot, so I'm good with that. But yeah, I think when you lose your parents, it's hard. Oh, 2 houses down. Oh, yeah, that's huge adjustment, huh? Really big. It's. I'm sorry, cracking asses. Mm, I wish I had the words to make it better for you, but I'm afraid I don't. You ever get like that? You just wish you had something you could say that would make the person feel better and take it away for them, but it's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, Charlie girl, I know. Y'all know. See, this group of ladies, look, we all found each other, and crazy because of our small sisterhood group that we have. Um, they were there with me when I went through all that, and I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had them. They really helped me. I can only hope that I could help them as much as they helped me. You know, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that much. Um, but I did. We were talking about it one night, and it was just amazing to hear, everybody's stories. And like I said, I'm not going to, tell their stories. I'm going to give too much away, but um, I was there when my mom passed, and I was holding her hand. I was so blessed for that. So blessed for that. Um, because she took it so gracefully. I mean, she was so graceful throughout life, and then even in death, she showed me gracefulness and acceptance, and it was amazing. And the only way I could have thought to repay her was I was there. I just made sure that everything that she wished for, I knew what she wanted, what her, you know, how she wanted things to be, and I made sure that that's what she got. Even if I didn't agree, I didn't have to agree because it wasn't about me. It's what she wanted. And but with us all talking about it, it was really interesting because most of us had lost our mama, and so many of us were there in their final moments, and it's eye opening to me. Oh, that's so sweet, man. She's got your mama's spirit. Yeah, she's your mama. That's true. They do. Bruises do go away. The words and the actions don't. You know. So that kind of gives you an insight why I'm so stubborn and why I'm like, no, you're not going to do that to me, and I'm not. But I am stubborn, stubborn, stubborn. Oh yeah, oh yeah, CJ. Yeah, yeah. Some of the ladies got to meet my mom on uh, video call. She's the original OG. Yeah, very much like my mom in a lot of ways. She's where I get my crazy personality from. Yeah, I could make my mom laugh, and we'd just be rolling on the floor all night long. We did. I do miss that. I miss my mama laughing. But I do have a little video clip of her laughing, sitting there with my dad laughing his butt off. It's funny. I like to watch it. But on that note, guys, I'm going to call it a night because it is 2:14 in the morning here. And I do have to get a little sleep before my monsters start getting up and raiding the kitchen and whatever else. I'm sure I'll have some kind of Disney or Netflix or, something on the TV in the morning. But you guys have a great, great night. And thank you for coming in and chatting and sharing your story. Because I know a lot of, some people have asked me to share that story. And I thought, yeah, I might as well do it now. And like I said, there's other topics we can hit with that too. We'll break that up because it's a lot to unpack, especially in one night. And there's so many rabbit holes we can go down. And hopefully I kind of made sense. I don't know. I feel like when I start talking about it, I kind of jump all over the place because my mind just goes, But you guys, thank you for coming in, and we'll chat with y'all later. Y'all have a great, great night, and stay blessed. Love each other. Y'all have a good one, okay? Love y'all.
Yeah, I will always be a warrior. You can't stop me, you can't stop me now. Yeah, I will always be a warrior. You can't lock me, you can't lock me down. I will not lay down my arms. Ready to be covered in scars. Cause I will always be a warrior. Late nights, get lost, hard work, the cost. Can't quit, can't stop. This world all cut off. Don't have time to waste, not now. Need to find a way to get out. Cause I'm gone, indeed. Get lost in the weeds. You know it's all about the conquest. What's next? You gotta put the work in like you're obsessed. Think about what you want, what's your future? What kind of person would it take to seduce her? So what's next? Be obsessed with winning and your success. Make progress, this life is never promised. So feel blessed, live life, don't be too cautious. Trust the process. In too deep, I'll never quit. I wanna see this through. Yeah, I'm all in, and I will hold my head up high. Got what it takes to fight and survive. Yeah, I will always be a warrior. You can't stop me, you can't stop me now. Yeah, I will always be a warrior. You can't lock me, you can't lock me down. I will not lay down my arms. Ready to be covered in scars. Cause I will always be a warrior.